Okay, let's go back in time a bit. The run-up to the 1948 London Olympic Games saw a country debt-ridden, with the event being dubbed the Austerity Games, okay? Now, the Olympics before that, due to something I like to call the Second World War, were in Berlin, where money wasn't a problem, and the country hosting it, let's face it, had a slightly debatable political system. Cut to 2012 London Olympics, nobody's got any money. The last games were in Beijing, where thriftiness wasn't an issue, and their politics are also a tad iffy from time to time. It's lightning bolts aplenty.
Paul.
Well, you think Pompey fans have it bad? You should think about Luton fans, or even more, Luton players. I signed for Luton when they got relegated into League One when I left Norwich, and after a couple of months we went to need administration. So for 4 months we weren't paid. There was lads borrowing money from the manager to pay their mortgages. It was absolutely ridiculous. Eventually the club was bought and was taken over by the owners. We tried to exit administration, but because we did it incorrectly, by the start of the next season we were deducted 30 points at the start of the season. So within a 12-month period I was personally deducted 40 points. That must be like in the Guinness Book of Records, is it? And so that's
about Dougie for a fighting talk, actually. So you're in good company. Did you ever pay the manager back?
Well, luckily I wasn't one of the ones that borrowed the money. So, but we did go on to win the JPT at the end of that year.
And just a bit of shoplifting got you by. So that's the
I'm sure you're still a hero in Nick Owen's eyes.
Yeah. Mark Watson. DVD.
First,
Sorry, go ahead.
It's that, isn't it?
Yeah.
First, I'd say I don't think it's ever right to deduct points from teams. If it does mean that Portsmouth and Coventry sink to the bottom of the Championship and I can relax about relegation for City for a year, that's just the way it works out. Let's end this farce now, or at least let's dock them the points and then let's end the farce. As for Lightning striking twice, do you remember when Neil Redfern was sort of always relegated? Yeah. And whichever club he was relegated, I think he went out of the Premier League twice in a row.
Yeah.
But several times in his career, it got to the stage where if he signed for a club, they would put that little R next to him on grandstand.
But a good player.
A good player with nothing to do with him. He should have been more suspicious when people wanted to sign him. He just was not very good looking at the league tables when clubs bid for him.
Still 1 point in it with the debutants in the lead. I think I really like the fact the debutants are in the lead and I'm not scoring it fairly anymore. Let's ask the next question. A disappointing night for United fans just across from the studio when they turned out to say, oh no, this is different, sorry. It was a disappointing night, but not just outside of here. They turned up to see Christmas lights be switched on by Paul Scholes, only to find out that he had to understandably pull out, and he was replaced with Chatterton Park FC's mascot, Chatty the Griffin. Turn up for Paul Scholes, get Chatty the Griffin. So who could rival that for the title of sport's most disappointing replacement ever? Paul, that's a footballer first.
Yeah, I used to watch this programme on Sunday nights on BBC Two, and it was presented by Adrian Trials, and he was absolutely brilliant. I really loved him, you know. And then the baby got some Irish guy to replace him. Just hasn't been the same since. Yeah. No, we actually had
brave stuff.
We had
He's got Ali Linear.
Good job he's going first.
I like the fact he went for the quality of presenter, not the increased ratings under me. He just went straight for the quality, and I admire him for that. That's what it's about.
He's bold for a debutant.
Yeah. So we signed a keeper called Michael Theoclides, and he replaced David Marshall, who signed for Cardiff from Norwich, and he was a good Scottish keeper whenever he relegated from the Championship in 2009. And Brian Gunn signed this guy from Australia, and his first game was against Colchester
7-1.
and we lost 7-1. And that was his one and only game for Norwich, and then he was sent off back to Australia.
Okay, I think that's a ballsy answer. It's always good to attack the host and fight and talk, so well done for that. You got loads of points, and to celebrate that I've made a montage here of all the goals that you scored for Northern Ireland. Here's all your Northern Irish goals. Have a listen, everyone. Let's get your answer, Mark.
Cracking montage, that. The funniest thing was about that Norwich 7-1 defeat was all those fans throwing the season tickets onto the pitch afterwards. But of course that same season Norwich went on to win the title. There were quite a few of them at Carrow Road trying to dig up the grass. I'll have that back, I think.
A few awkward Monday morning phone calls. Hello, I was at the game.
Yes, I've had to reconsider now. We've won 12 in a row at home. Disappointing replacements. Mourinho is still one of the most charismatic managers in the Premier League. Avram Grant straight afterwards. It wasn't just from a football point of view. Grant didn't do so badly at Chelsea, but 1 minute you've got all these brilliant, the special one sound bites. Next minute you've got a man whose name appears to be an anagram of something else. Looks sort of deathly, and at press conferences there was no one more functional than Grant. He never got used to saying we play badly either. Chelsea play badly today. He never quite believed that he actually was part of the club.
I like it. Andy.
When Robbie Fowler got injured in, I think it was the summer of 1998, bad injury, So Roy Evans and Gerard Houllier, they were joint managers at the time, but I think it was Roy decided to buy Sean Dundee for £2 million. He came over from Germany, and he said, I'm quick. He said, I'm not sure I'm as quick as Michael Owen, but I think it'll be a close run thing. He turned out to be slower than a week in prison, you know. And it was like, and he made 3 substitute appearances in the whole season, but he did used to cruise around Liverpool, remember, in a convertible sports car, just with his arm out the window, which is always a good look.
And again, that's what football's all about. Dougie.
1997, Europe won the Ryder Cup, captained by perhaps most naturally gifted, exciting golfer ever, winner of 5 majors, the great legend that is Severiano Ballesteros. Who replaces him as the next Ryder Cup captain in 1999?
What's coming?
Mark James. Mark James, no major wins, and for the entirety of his career, just a dodgy moustache. Needless to say, we didn't win in 1999. And just even on the subject of names, Severiano Ballesteros. Mark James.
Let's do the scores before we get the latest news. Well, it's 24 points for Dougie Anderson. It's 24 points for Mark Watson, who is so enamoured by the fact it's the first studio he's ever been in that you can look out. At the end of every answer, he looks out the window. It's fantastic. A quick look out the window. Yes, the sun's shining. I'm happy.
It's just nice not to be on daytime TV.
Andy's got 24 as well, and Paul's in the lead with 25. This is Fighting Talk. You can podcast all you want. You just go to iTunes, you go to the BBC website. It's free and it's perfect for working out in the gym, sitting in a bus, having a few beers, whatever. Let's get the latest news in sport. We're back in a minute. Strangely, during the first half of Fighting Talk, questions have been sent in for 3 of the 4 panellists. Nobody wants Dougie Ando to answer anything. So sit quietly as we go to Amy in Norwich, who's 22, who says, Paul, do you remember Mrs. McVeigh, the Northern Ireland fan from Norwich?
Yes, I do.
No follow-up.
She's not a relation.
No, I think we've got that. Rupert in London says, I sat next to Mark Watson in a train from Earl's Court. Mark, should I have seized the moment?
No, you did well to give me some personal space. I'm a terrible, but in real life I'm a horrible person.
And for Andy, this is from Dave in Crawley. Where'd you get your jumper, mate? I'm short of a few Christmas presents.
Last Christmas, mate.
Right, the first topic of the second half is inspired by this.
Scores are in. Ladies and gentlemen, the judges have their scores. Craig Revelhorde. 5. Lane Goodman.
7.
Alicia Dixon.
7.
Bruno Tognoli.
6.
25 out of 40. Oh dear.
Right, you know the way we use tenuous links to ask a question? Check this one out. Chris Moyles and John Hartson are just 2 top sports people urging the public to get behind Robbie Savage and Strictly. We'd add our name to that list, but they've admitted, like we do, that he's by no means the best dancer in the competition. So in a similar spirit, which sporting underdogs would you urge the FT family to get behind this week, despite the fact they're not all that? And relax. Andy Dunn.
I like it. FA Cup second round week, fantastic.
Oh, yes.
And Stourbridge. I mean, Stourbridge are playing Stevenage, I think, and the chance to get in the third round. Great story. And this is what it's all about. Sean Evans, a player who was released by Manchester United, then suffered a double leg break where doctors said that he probably shouldn't play again. He turned out to play £3 a week subs for Ludlow Town, now plays for Stourbridge, chance to go back to United. But another thing about it is, the only thing he took home from Old Trafford after 4 or 5 years there was a pair of Paul Scholes boots. I mean, I guess it could have been Cherry the Griffin's boots, couldn't it? But, you know, so at least he's, whatever his name is.
Yeah, we can't get you Paul Scholes boots. But have this.
Who is Cherry the Griffin? What is it, by the way?
Well, it wasn't even. I'm going to have to look it up. I wrote it down somewhere. It wasn't even Terry. I think you've got that bit wrong.
Chatty.
It was Chaddy.
Chaddy's was them.
Yeah.
So Terry
he's one of the top Griffins out there.
Terry's rubbish. Terry the Griffin would never book him.
No, he's past his best.
Dougie Anderson.
Davis Cup this weekend, Spain versus Argentina. Although Spain have obviously got Nadal or odds-on favourites to win the title, I say let's support the underdog here. I also say forget the Falklands, forget the hand of God, forget the harbouring of Nazi war criminals, and for goodness sake forget the filmic adaptation of Evita starring Madonna and, in a lesser role, Jimmy Neal. Let's get behind the RJs and let bygones be bygones.
Oh, he's back in it. He's back in it. Paul McVeigh.
I'm going to go for Norwich City against Man City this
As you
weekend.
do.
Well, clearly, but Norwich are a proper club. You know, it's